absolutely ridiculous. They'll believe anything. They'll believe anything. Maybe. Facebook is at it again. Right, so we're back, and if you watched our video last week, you would have remembered this. So let's have a quick look. Facebook allows praise of neo-Nazi Ukrainian battalion if it fights Russian invasion. It says Facebook will temporarily allow its billions of users to praise the Azov battalion, a Ukrainian neo-Nazi military unit that was previously banned from being freely discussed at Facebook.
Facebook have a parody of their blacklist.
Yes, right. So sometimes you can, sometimes you can't.
Yeah.
And it says here, right, according to internal policy materials reviewed by The Intercept, Facebook will allow praise of the Azov battalion when explicitly and exclusively praising their role in defending Ukraine or their role as part of the Ukraine's National Guard. So we've already discussed this last week when it was a bit strange, right? But yeah, good to see you again, Abby.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice to be doing this again.
Yeah, it's very happy to sit here and talk about everything, right?
Right, so before we get into talking about what else Facebook is up to, please, if you appreciate our work, what should they do, Abby? Tell them.
按赞、订阅、分享.
Yeah, like, share, subscribe, anything you can do to help us to keep providing you with this information. We'll really appreciate that. Okay, so should we get into it?
Yeah.
So that's what they did last week, right?
Again, yeah.
Yeah, and it's coming back again. So let's have a look at another website. Facebook allows posts calling for violence against Russian invaders.
Oh, right. I mean...
Right. So we've talked a lot, you and I, about freedom of speech, right? So freedom of speech, you're allowed to offend people. You're allowed to do a lot of things, but what are you not allowed to do with freedom of speech?
Control other speech.
Yeah, but you're also not allowed by law to call for violence against somebody else.
Oh?
Those are in the freedom of speech laws, right?
Okay.
Like I can't go on Facebook and tell people that, you know, they should hurt you. That's illegal.
Encourage people to
do
the violence.
Yeah. But now, somehow, Facebook can choose which rights we have, right?
Because Russia is evil, so everyone can...
Sure. But actually, I like the way that you said that, right? Because if you think about the word evil, what does evil mean? Evil is a judgment, right? Like one person might say that person's evil, but someone else will look at them and say they're good. So it's a judgment that somebody's making.
It's like a personal opinion, or
sure. And now, apparently, if Facebook has an opinion that one side is bad, they can kind of affect every single person's freedom of speech. So you'll see it here, right? So Facebook's parent company Meta confirmed on Thursday that it will temporarily allow users affected by the war in Ukraine to publish posts calling for violence against Russian invaders. This change is an update to the company's hate speech policy, which bars users from publishing violent posts. So
they break their rules.
Yeah, they break their own rules.
Because the people, it's about Russia, so you can break the rule. So I say they have a new rule. They can do whatever they want to say. They don't have like a
it's not consistent, right?
Yeah, not the consistency.
Yeah.
They follow their feeling. Yes, their feeling.
Yeah, that's true, right? Yeah. So as soon as they think that, I mean, they're taking sides basically, right? So Facebook is taking a side. I mean, right now we're not taking a side. We're just trying to talk about this. But they're taking a side and saying that you're allowed to now break real freedom of speech laws as long as it's one side.
It's like an emergency, so you can break...
You said it again. Yes, it's an emergency. What does it remind us of, right? Yeah.
Oh.
So it's an
something is emergency before, right?
Sure, it's an emergency, so you're not allowed to talk about certain medicines, you're not allowed to talk about certain people, certain doctors, even if they're very famous, because it's an emergency. Sorry, I cut you off. Keep going.
That's a good excuse.
Yeah. So I think that there'll always be emergencies, right? And they can always keep breaking the rules.
Everything is like, if you're threatened, it's an emergency.
And I think it was on Australian TV this week, I saw a YouTube video. There was a guy in the audience, and he basically just said, he asked a question, and he said, he was talking about the Azov battalion, and he was talking, the Nazi group that had joined the military. And they wouldn't actually talk about his question. They kicked him out of the TV show. And then, basically they were saying, you support violence.
You mean during the show?
During the show.
Stop. You have to leave.
Exactly like that.
What?
Just like that, yeah. I'll try and find it and we can link to it. But it was a guy who had a point. Whether you agree with his point or not, it doesn't matter. But he was not allowed to speak. He was not allowed to bring that up on the TV show because the guy said he was supporting violence.
Oh, is it true? Is it supporting violence?
Well, I mean, this guy, obviously, I think he was actually a Russian guy. And I think he was Russian and living in Australia, I think, and he went on the show. But his voice wasn't allowed to be heard because apparently he was supporting violence. So if you disagree with the main narrative, you're supporting violence, and we can't even answer your question.
Oh.
For some reason.
Why don't they just listen to what they want to say?
Yeah.
And if it's not
have a discussion, right?
Have a discussion. I think if it's better to fight with opinion, is you bring a good opinion to fight for it.
Or maybe if you know that there is another side of the story that actually people will say, okay, that's a legitimate question. Like, yeah, I want to know the answer.
Yeah. Then
you'd rather just shut that guy up because you don't want him to bring it up, right?
Right.
I'm sure, what is that guy? Tyrion Lannister from Game of Thrones. He said some quote about if you cut a man's tongue out, all you're showing is that you're afraid to hear what he has to say.
Oh. I'm not quite sure.
Something like that.
It's a line in
from Game of Thrones, which made a lot of sense, right? Because if you stop somebody from talking,
because you're
afraid of what he's going to say. If you know that you have a better point and you can prove it through discussion, you're going to let him speak. But somehow all the media is going the same way, just pushing one narrative and completely cancelling everybody. Like, it was just as you said. It was like, sorry, you're supporting violence, you need to leave. Just like that on this TV show. I'll find it and show you. We can link to it.
Oh, it sounds like it's like in a fight.
Yeah.
And I mean, even like a normal, like a friends fight or some like a family fight. If you think, oh, I gotta lose, you go, no, we won't talk.
Yeah.
That's
exactly right. So when you think you're gonna lose, you shut people down. Yeah. So I mean, isn't this crazy, right? So in 2 weeks, we've seen Facebook do two things, right? One, now it's okay to praise Nazis. People who burn other people alive, apparently. You're allowed to praise them, right? And you're also now allowed to call for violence against one side. I thought we're living in a world where we're trying to get away from violence, right?
But what they do is like the opposite.
Looks like it, right? Yeah, and if you read it here even more, they say like... to express violent sentiments towards invading armed forces, such as death to the Russian invaders. That's okay. It doesn't make sense to me, right? And you'll see, I mean, I've seen a lot of different articles talking about the same thing. But who gave Facebook the right? They say, well, what? Because they're a private company?
Oh, okay. It's not?
I mean, they are a private company.
Private company.
But I mean,
is that
do you think this is okay, that you can limit people's freedom of speech? You can also allow people to break the law and call for violence, just depending on which side you agree with.
It's like the private company now has a big power, can decide people what to say, what not to say.
Yeah. Or allow people to break the law, because you're not normally
I say,
could you to do this.
I say so you can do that.
So it seems like Facebook's
allow people, right?
More important than the government, right?
People should listen to them. I allowed you, so you can talk. Like, okay, go. Now you can talk.
Yeah, so it's a lot of bullshit, right? Yeah, and then you know what? I want to show you another one. You can see here that this is from the Czech Republic. Czech Republic reportedly moves to criminalize speech in favor of Putin or the Russian invasion.
Moves to criminalize speech.
So certain speech is criminal now, right? If it's in favor of Putin.
That's a new level, criminal's speech.
Yeah. So this week, you see it here. This week, the Supreme State Attorney, Igor Striz of the Czech Republic, announced that the country is moving to criminalize speech supporting Russian President Vladimir Putin or the Russian invasion, with sentences of up to 3 years in jail. It is a curious way to fight tyranny with tyrannical measures against free speech. So, if you support Putin for whatever reason, then what happens? Then you can go to jail. This doesn't make sense to me at all, right? I mean, who can say exactly who's right or who's wrong? Obviously, the war, I think, is wrong. But as we've talked about in other segments, we've talked about it, we've shown that there's a lot more to the story. There's a lot of history. There were a lot of warning signs. There were red lines. But no, now, if you're online, you support Russia, you support Putin possibly, you can go to jail.
They were thinking you're kind of crazy. You probably a potential violence executor. You can't
yeah. Crazy, right?
It's like it's like a thought crime.
It's like a thought crime, yeah, exactly, right?
Right?
It's 1984. But doesn't this remind you of something else, right? Because I think that what they're saying here is that if people have unfavorable opinions, they should go to jail. Sounds a lot like Canada, right? The truckers had unfavorable views, and then they could have their property taken away from them. They could have their bank accounts seized. They could have, what else did they do in Canada? Oh, to have your health insurance taken away. It's all the same thing.
Treat them as a criminal. Like you couldn't have a basic human right.
So everywhere you look,
just because their thinking is different from the men.
Sure, you have the wrong opinion. You go to jail. We take your money. We take your health insurance. Unless you need to change and have the right opinions.
Oh my God!
It's everywhere. Canada, Czech Republic, all over the place.
Yeah, it's unbelievable, right? Because
I agree.
Before, as my opinion, I think a Western country is a democracy country, so they allow the freedom of speech. People there are more creative, more more encouraged to speak their own opinion.
Yeah.
But right now, what I do is like similar to China. Sorry, sounds like a communist party.
Sure, and then we saw last week, right? Like some things in Russia are like less authoritarian. We looked to see if Russia had a vaccine mandate, and they didn't. They just encouraged people, but no mandate.
Yeah.
Different to other countries, right? So I agree with you. It's unbelievable. I never thought that I would live in a world where I would see all these Western countries acting like this, tell people they have the wrong opinions, punishing people for how they think. It's almost like we're living in a bad movie. And I have a question for you then.
Yeah.
Like you just said something so interesting, right? Abby just said, like, I thought the people in the West were liked democracy and all this kind of stuff. How do you think most people who don't live in the West are looking at the West now? Do you think they're looking at the West and going, oh, we want to be like them?
I don't know, because
I wonder, right?
At least, it's a feeling because the West have a long history. They have, they have done so many good things, and they have lots of creativity. I think their people have more personality, more independent thinking. So that's why I think Western countries are different.
Sure, but maybe it's changing, right? Maybe that was what it was like before. I mean, one of the good examples of this is university campuses, right? I mean, universities used to be places where you could say anything and you'd have debates of ideas. But go and look at a lot of the universities in the US or the UK now, and it isn't like that.
Yeah.
Like I help people to go and study their MBAs. And I keep in contact with some of them. And some of the guys say, man, I'm scared in the class.
Ooh.
Like, I want to say certain opinions, but I just shut up.
Oh.
So, I don't get how that's, what it used to be. It seems like it's changed a lot. And now there's a lot of, like, wrong thinking. If you say the wrong thing, you can have a big problem.
You mean they have their own doctrine? How to say it?
Yeah, that would be the right way to say it,
right?
sure. Yeah, and then I found a few other things, right, that are, I suppose, kind of, in a way, related to this. So, have you a look at what's happening? Russia's going to ban fertilizer exports to non-friendly countries.
Oh, I know. Taiwan is one of the non-friendly countries.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's going to be a big problem, and it's similar to this whole cancelling thing that we were talking about. And then I saw another one here. It says, imagine how many people won't want to be part of a digital dollar system now. That was the question I just asked you. Like, if you see what they're doing with the monetary system and that they're canceling people and taking their money, why you're breaking the trust of this whole system.
Yeah.
Who's going to want to be part of that? Who's going to want to hold US dollars or treasuries if you then you know that they can be taken away from you if you have the wrong thinking, right?
Yeah, it doesn't feel safe. It's like the thing in Black Mirror, the
It
TV
does seem
shows,
a bit
right?
like, yeah.
You have a social credit if you are behaving good. Oh, then we give you some money.
Yeah.
If you are not, we take away from you. It's not a video game.
Sure. So you're breaking confidence in the system. You're breaking confidence in freedom of speech in a lot of places. You're breaking confidence in the monetary system because people can have their money taken, their bank accounts frozen. Yeah, even denied health care, as we just discussed. And have a look at this one here. So US tees up Stop Russian Gold Act. They're actually trying to tell people around the world that you're not allowed to buy gold from Russia.
Couldn't buy gold from Russia.
From Russia, yeah. So, I mean, people can search this for themselves. So already you can see there that Russia's been getting into gold, and now they're trying to control what people can do. I think they kind of forgot what gold is, right? Because if you have it in your hand, no one can tell you what to do with it. That's why I think they're trying to get these digital payment systems everywhere, and why they're closing a lot of bank branches down. If they can get everyone onto a digital system, then they'll have complete control. They want to take your money, they'll just take it. So everywhere you look, it's kind of like the pillars of this great global society that we had are all being destroyed. All the trust in everything is being destroyed. Where are we going to go from here?
Okay. It seems the Fertilizer, the current like 100% galley, it's like they try to build up a digital currency, right? Now they say people you couldn't buy gold
From Russia, yeah.
from Russia.
Yeah,
It's
but why is that though?
They want to try to tell the people in United States only United States.
No, I think everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yeah, because if you think about it, what did Russia do over the last few years?
They bought a lot of gold.
And they sold a lot of US dollars.
Oh, they sold out US.
They sold a lot of their US dollars because then they can get away from the control. If you own the gold,
I see.
then you control it. They store their gold in Russia, and that's their way to get away from the control. So that's what they've been doing, and now they're trying to fight against that. Which is why if you or I buy gold, we get some kind of control back. Because when you've got that gold in your hand, you can go anywhere in the world. That gold is acceptable. People will buy it from you, trade it with you. And no one can say, oh, you have the wrong thoughts, we're taking your gold.
Yeah.
Or you said the wrong thing. So it's a way to get out. So Russia got out. Now you see them fighting against it.
Yeah, I see.
But again, we go back to it, right? When other countries and other people see this happening, do they have confidence in the dollar? I think the dollar confidence is going to go, right? And what about international property rights? Right? So, I mean...
they are not trade with dollar?
Well, I mean, like, if you have property, right?
Yeah.
And you take your property to another country, should that still be your property? Can someone just take it from you? Because don't we have international law? What about a patent? What happens if you're in America and you design some new technology, and then you take that new technology to another company? I mean, another country. Sorry. Should that country just be able to take your idea and copy it, or should you get some protection for your for your patent? But they're going against all of this stuff, right? So, I mean, now some of these rich Russian guys are having their assets taken from them. For what reason other than they're Russian?
Just because they are Russian.
So now, if you were, let's say, somebody in India, and you're looking at the world and you're saying, hey, if I have this asset, and they like me now, but later on, what happens if I now have the wrong opinion? They can just take my stuff from me.
Yeah.
how are you going to have confidence in doing business internationally when your money and your possessions can be taken away from you? Who's going to have confidence in the system?
Yeah, that's like a similar, like Taiwanese go do some business in China. They all know their property or their house, their company, the factory may just be taken away from to the government, Chinese government.
Sure.
They know, like, so it's like a gambling. You better to when you earn money and you just lay there. If you don't, it's a high chance they gonna label you some criminal and
just take your stuff.
Take
right?
away.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you can go back safe, I mean the personal safe, you can go back alive. That's your luck.
Yeah, that's crazy, right?
Yeah. Because not now, but before, maybe decades before, like it's easy to be cheated on China. They say, oh no, don't worry, we're gonna protect you. But actually, when you already just implement some your assets there, they will give you some
benefits.
They give you some benefits, so you want to stay longer, and then all of a sudden they will say, oh, you break our law, so we're gonna take you to the jail.
Sure.
So if the Taiwanese guy can fly away, that's luck. That's luck.
Yeah. So I mean, I think you can agree with me, right? The whole system, everything is all based on confidence. Like we've discussed this before. The money that you have in your wallet is based on confidence that government is worth it. Like that their promise is worth it.
Yeah.
So everything is based on confidence, and everything that's happening now seems to be hurting that confidence. Confidence in the money, confidence in your possessions, confidence in freedom of speech. And why would they be doing this? Who does it hurt? Like the more I look at it, I see like everything America seems to be doing is going to hurt America down the line. So I wonder why the people in charge are not really very forward thinking when all they're going to do is hurt the confidence, and they're going to split everyone in the world up. And you can see it here. Look at this headline. This is what the Russian foreign minister said. He said, Russia will recover with a full bill of health, says Lavrov, vowing to cut ties with the West. So if they cut ties with the West and China cuts ties with the West, what kind of world are we going to have?
Oh.
Yeah, so I wonder, right? And it's going to hurt. And I mean, one of the things that America has that really helps them a lot is that reserve currency status of the dollar. If they lose the reserve currency status, that's going to hurt them. So why would they be undermining the confidence of the US dollar system? It doesn't make sense to me.
Oh, that means if China and Russia or maybe other country, they stopped to trading with dollars. That means the dollar is not worth.
Yeah, it won't be the reserve currency anymore. Yeah. And what happens if China and Russia start to do trade in a different currency or in gold?
Yeah.
Or what happens if they start selling their resources in gold or in Chinese currency or Russian currency? Because how did the US get the reserve currency? It's because they made that deal to get all the oil sold in US dollars. So countries need to buy US dollars so that they can buy oil. But what happens if now other people are selling oil or other commodities in different currencies?
Yeah.
It's not going to be the reserve currency anymore. Which maybe you agree with that, maybe you don't. But why would the guys running America be taking all these actions which will ensure that this hurts America later? It's almost like a drunk driver, driving a car somewhere. So it doesn't make any sense to me. I really, really do not understand how this makes sense for the people who seem to be pushing pretty hard in this conflict, like America.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense, right? Because no one's going to trust them after this. Because as soon as I have the wrong opinion, then it's over for me, and you're going to take my stuff. Well, then, hey, you know what? I'll do business with other people, other countries who won't do that.
I think what they do is try to let other countries slowly, not rely on them, but want to, because now it's hard because they're too big. It's hard to cut them off, right? You have to. Lots of people still rely on America, so I think they need a long plan, but like slowly, they're gonna.
Sure, but
Be
the reason they've
America.
been able to build that huge military of theirs in America and spend all the money they've spent is because they have that reserve currency status. Because the whole world needs to keep buying dollars, so there's this constant demand for US dollars. But if they lose that reserve currency status, it means they can't just keep printing anymore.
Yeah.
And they've already got over $30 trillion in debt. So that's going to hurt them big time. So why would they hurt the confidence in this system? Unless maybe somebody wants to push that system over the edge and create some kind of a, how would you say it, like a reset? Maybe like a great big reset might make sense, right? As a concept we could talk about.
Agree. Great reset.
Yeah.
I think that's what they want.
Possibly, right? Because that would be one way to do it.
Destroy
Collapse the
everything.
confidence in the system.
And you own nothing.
And then everyone will
People-
own nothing.
Own nothing.
I feel like I've heard this somewhere before.
Familiar, right?
Yeah,
You ha-
somewhere.
You have everything like a currency, but actually you own nothing.
Yeah, so
Anyway, you're gonna be happy.
I'm not too sure we'll be happy in that world, but we'll see.
Yes.
Right?
A court.
Yeah, anyway, so I thought that would be a good one for the no idea segment, right? Firstly, Facebook, no fucking idea, dude. Really, I don't understand how you're going to allow people to, praise people who are burning other people alive, right? Or
Unless it's
or
in
post
Russia.
about calling on violence on anybody. I don't want to call violence on anyone. It doesn't matter which side you're on. And then the next no idea part is this, right? Like, why destroy confidence in the system? Who's that going to help? I have no idea. Yeah.
They just play what they want.
Yeah. So anyway, tell us what you think, right? We could be very wrong. Maybe you can help us to figure out why we're wrong. So yeah, any kind of comment would be great. Otherwise, like, share, subscribe. How do you say it in Chinese again? 按赞,分享,订阅.
Yes,
Yeah, you
yes.
got it right. All right, and we'll be back with another segment shortly. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you.